Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. A protest was held at the Manitoba Legislature for York Factory First Nation on Wednesday. Community members and leaders are asking for an all-season road and water to be released from the Kiosk Dam, as over 600 are stranded in northern Manitoba. Julia Ross reports.
York Factory First Nation is still in a state of emergency 2 weeks later. The community's ferry is inoperable due to low water levels, leaving over 600 in the community stranded. A protest at the Manitoba Legislative Building took place Thursday, starting later than expected due to a meeting with the Manitoba Premier Wildfire going long.
We just got out of a really long and grueling meeting with the Premier and his cabinet ministers, and we're a little shaken up by what transpired just moments ago. So we did take longer than expected, and we were made to feel like our lives aren't as important as other Manitobans' lives.
Community members arrived at the protest directly after their meeting with Wabkanu feeling disheartened. One member says that he showed a video to the Premier where they flew over the Kiosk Dam.
Like, there's no water on the Split Lake side compared to the other side. There's lots of water, so I don't know why they're not releasing that water to us.
Community members say a portage nearby is the spawning point for their fish, but the water levels are so low that the fish won't survive. And with the fall hunting season beginning soon, community members will be unable to leave the area to fish or hunt. Despite the out-of-service ferry and boats unable to launch, during a media scrum yesterday, Premier Canoe said that boats will be brought in to deliver resources and supplies.
So we're going to keep working with Chief Westescoot and his community members in the short term, just making sure that there's boats and chartered flights to be able to bring resources and supplies into the community.
York Factory leaders are demanding that an all-season road be built or for water to be released to restore the levels. Community member Brielle Beardy Linklater says the province will not act.
The province isn't going to act unless there's an economic gain from the situation. The Premier said that he won't build a road unless they are going to build a pipeline or some sort of mine. So the priority of this government lies with economic resources.
Canoe says the road network would cost $5 billion.
We do need to build an all-weather road network in northern Manitoba, but the challenge is that this is going to cost $5 billion. Our provincial infrastructure budget is $540 million. If we can get the Port of Churchill lit up, if we can get a trade route to Europe booming for our ag, mining, energy industry, now all of a sudden an all-weather road network starts to look a lot more realistic.
During a press conference 2 weeks ago, Chief Daryl Westescoot said an all-weather road would cost $150 million from York Landing to the South Access Road at Kiosk.
The latest one was about $150 million for about 60 kilometers. That's pretty much what we need to access the world. 60 kilometers.
The community says that they believe the province makes $200 million a year from water fees paid by Manitoba Hydro. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Saskatchewan RCMP say a man and a woman are facing charges after an investigation into a video circulating online showing a group of individuals holding firearms in a rural area in the RM of Duck Lake. Prince Albert's crime reduction team began an investigation on August 8th after receiving several reports about the online video. RCMP say the investigation determined some of the individuals were handling firearms, including while in a vehicle. The video circulated online has been viewed nearly 1 million times. RCMP say 23-year-old Arshdeep Chima from Prince Albert was arrested on August 12th and charged with unauthorized possession of a firearm, careless use of a firearm, and unauthorized possession of a firearm in a motor vehicle. The following day, 37-year-old Priyanka from Prince Albert was charged with careless use of a firearm and transferring firearms without authority. The two firearms depicted in the video were recovered. No injuries were reported. RCMP say they believe this firearm possession incident is isolated in nature. First Nations in Saskatchewan had issued public statements last week asking people to exercise caution in the area. RCMP say they're sharing the information to reassure the public of safety as well as ensure misinformation is not being shared. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew says the long-anticipated search of the Brady Landfill, which is owned by the City of Winnipeg, will begin. Kinew made the announcement in Winnipeg on Wednesday. Searchers will be looking for the remains of Ashley Shingoose. Her DNA was found in the apartment of Jeremy Skibitsky. He was convicted of killing 4 First Nations women, including Shingoose, in Winnipeg a year ago. At the time, Shingoose was called Mushkode Bishkwe Ikwe, or Buffalo Woman. She was not positively identified until recently. Her remains are believed to be in the Brady landfill. Searchers will also look for the remains of Tanya Nepanak, who went missing from central Winnipeg in 2011. Winnipeg police have said Nepanak was the victim of another serial killer. Premier Kinew says the Brady landfill search will start with Shingoose, then turn to Nepanak.
The focus that we're working on right now is Ashley Shingoose, because we have the information about the cell that we believe where she's located, but we are making plans to search for Tanya Nepanak as well.
Vernon Mann is the partner of Tanya Nepanak, who went missing back in 2011. He has been lobbying the province and police to search for her remains in the Brady landfill. Vernon joins us now. Vernon, really appreciate you taking some time here for us. I guess just your initial thoughts on the Premier saying that there will be a search for your loved one.
My kids and I are actually really happy to hear that they're going to do the search and make it happen. We've been waiting for a long time.
Have you been in discussions with the Premier, with the province lately? Did you know that this was likely to be announced?
No, I haven't been contacted by them at all. So I didn't know it was a surprise to me.
Were you hoping you might have some further contact with provincial leaders here?
Well, yeah, I was hoping they would contact me and let me know something, but I haven't heard nothing from them.
Vernon, I guess, what do you think are the reasons behind this taking so long?
Well, I know there's a lot of work that leads up to it, but it would have been nice for this to happen a long time ago.
What are you hoping the next steps are here?
That we bring her home. It's been a long road that we've been waiting for this to happen, so we just want to bring her home so we can have somewhere to lay her rest properly.
Vernon, I guess, are you hoping to be involved yourself if you have the time in the search?
If I can, yes, that'd be great. I know my son wants to as well.
Vernon, a lot of supporters over the past decade plus. Anything you'd like to say to those who've not given up the fight here for a search for Tanya?
I would like to thank everybody for everything that they've done. There's been a lot of really good and strong supporters that have been by our side over the years.
Well, Vernon, good news for you and the family, I guess, and really appreciate you taking some time here for us.
Yes, it's great news. It's really overwhelming. I'm still trying to process everything.
You can find much more over on our website, aptnnews.ca. Our Truth in Politics panel is here to talk wildfires. That's coming up after the break. Welcome back. This year's wildfire season is already now the second worst on record. Tens of thousands of people, largely Indigenous, have been forced to flee their homes this summer. According to information posted on the Indigenous Services Canada website, people from 28 First Nations in Canada are currently under evacuation. For more, we're joined by our Truth in Politics panel. Nigon Sinclair is a columnist with the Winnipeg Free Press. Jennifer Lewitz is a CEO of Pasqua Strategies. Jennifer Negon, great to see you as always. Negon, we'll start with you. And the federal government saying this is the second worst wildfire season already, second only to 2023. Does that come as any surprise to you?
Well, it certainly is evidence that we're having increasing years of record wildfires. There's two coalescing issues. The first, of course, is that a long-standing neglect of dealing with the issues that provoke wildfires. That's the underbrush, that's the ongoing dealing with natural resources, the underfunding of natural resources. And then, of course, there's climate change, frequent droughts, the drying of areas that cause forest fires. And while we still see the majority of forest fires being caused by natural causes, lightning, for example, about 40% of forest fires are caused by human reasons. And of course, the whole case that there would be climate change would make them 100% evidence of human interaction. So we are seeing this as the new normal.
Jennifer, the federal government says the last 3 fire seasons are among the 10 worst on record. That goes back to 1972. What do you make of that?
Yeah, the wildfire seasons are definitely getting worse and worse, especially in Saskatchewan. I think this in my lifetime feels like the worst summer we've had yet, especially in terms of evacuations and risk to people's homes, and homes have even burnt down. It is nice to hear that the federal government is acknowledging it. So I hope that they will fund and resource our nations and our isolated communities, especially because that's the communities that are the most impacted by this. But I echo everything that Negon said. The environment is changing. We're living in very, very dry and hot seasons now. And it goes back to the resources and the way that we're managing our forests and we're managing, fire prevention.
Negon, there was an editorial in the Winnipeg Free Press this week that talked about the smoke and Manitoba's 2 seasons now being known as winter and smoke season rather than construction season. You think this is going to be the new normal summers ahead?
Undoubtedly, this is going to be the new normal. And of course, disproportionately impacting First Nations in the north. The worst thing possible we could have is what we're seeing in the United States, which is a federal government that's denying basic science. We do not need a lack of data or the eradication of data that relates with climate change and then also relates with making the government look bad. We don't need any of that. And so I hope that when anyone watching this is when you demand things of your MP or your representative in government, whether that be in First Nations governments or in mainstream Canadian governments, demand that they commit themselves to what is an ongoing issue involving climate change. We're seeing this more and more and more as droughts happen, as there's continues to be a drying out of the earth, and then at the same time, a chronic underfunding of natural resources throughout the country. What you're going to see is exponential impacts. This is going to cost for everybody. This is not about a First Nations issue. When First Nations are evacuated and put into cities, that's things that all taxpayers have to pay for. So climate change and wildfires are very much being a very Canadian public issue. And everybody can participate by simply demanding more of our representatives.
Jennifer, we've seen criticism of the handling of the evacuations and all of this related to wildfires when it comes to the federal government, the provinces, the Red Cross. Your thoughts on the way things have been handled this summer?
Yeah, having lived in the city that was, hosting a lot of the people that were evacuating from the north, some of those people being my own family, it was concerning to see how disorganized it was, especially when this is not a new thing. And it's not like we weren't, seeing something like this coming, especially with the dry conditions and how hot it was, and, it just started picking up and getting worse. I think, when it comes to the federal government, I feel like they have respectfully almost got off on this. We're seeing a lot of the heat going toward the provinces, especially in Saskatchewan, where, a lot of the communities that are most heavily impacted have been First Nations. But also there have been, from what I've been told, some contracts going to Red Cross, and Red Cross that's supposed to step in. People were supposed to get help from the Red Cross. The feds are telling us everybody donate, we'll match whatever Red Cross is raising. But then that support is very slow to come out, especially to families and people that are impacted by the evacuations. So it's been kind of frustrating all around how it seems that all of these different groups are not talking to one another, and the resources are not getting to where they need to go as quickly as they need to get to there.
All right. We're going to continue the conversation over on the podcast. Thanks to you both.
Thanks.
Time for one last break, but stick around. There's much more to come. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Avery Harder sent in this photo of Jessie, the family dog, a very photogenic golden retriever who seems to be enjoying the sunny weather. Thanks for sharing. If you want to be featured on APTN National News, you can email your pictures to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at Friday's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, sun's out and 27 for Halifax, 25 under sunny skies in Fredericton, 15 in Kuujjuaq, sun's out and 10 for Nain. A sunny high of 29 in Montreal, 21 under the sun for Chibougamau. 26 and sunny in Sault Ste. Marie and North Bay, 31 in Ottawa. 28 and sunny in Thunder Bay, Kapuskasing and Timmins. Cloudy and 11 in Norway House, 16 and cloudy skies for God's Lake. Sunny and 26 in Winnipeg, 21 under the sun in Dauphin. Cloudy and 20 for Regina and Swift Current, 19 in Yorkton. 19 in Meadow Lake, 16 in La Ronge. In northern Alberta, sunny and 20 in High Level, 22 and cloudy in Grand Prairie. 12 in Edmonton, 25 and sunny in Lethbridge. 16 with showers in Vancouver, cloudy and 19 in Kamloops. 19 with rain in Prince George, 23 and sunny in Fort Nelson. Showers in 13 in Old Crow, sunny and 17 for Whitehorse. 20 and sunny skies in Yellowknife, 24 under the sun in Norman Wells. Sunny and 14 in Sax Harbor, 18 with the sun out in Polituck. 10 in Chesterfield, 9 in Arviat. 3 in Resolute, 8 in Joe Haven. The Global Indigenous Languages Summit wrapped up in Ottawa this afternoon. The morning featured a keynote speech by Governor General Mary Simon, followed by a presentation on engaging Indigenous youth in business at the 7 Gen Space. Another afternoon session focused on the role friendship centers have to play in the teaching of Indigenous languages. APTN's Fraser Needham has more.
Mary Simon gave her speech in English, French, and Inuktitut. She reflected a number of times on how lucky she was to be able to speak her native language at home while growing up. The Governor General also thanked all the people currently working in revitalization for ensuring future generations have access to their languages.
Thank you for working to make people around the globe aware that kids learning their own Indigenous languages in school and at home is one of the most powerful investments that our communities and our governments will ever make.
Matthew Carrier is the outgoing director of Manitoba's Indigenous Chamber of Commerce. In a late morning session, he offered tips to Indigenous youth on how to break into the job market. Carrier says the best advice he has is to get out from behind your computer and put yourself out there.
Yeah, I want us to stand out. Honestly, there's so much opportunity, and I think the best way to stand out is to be present, to be out there, and one of the best ways is to volunteer. Volunteer or go into these networking events that are available. So I know the economy is hard, and I know for a lot of my friends it's hard for them to find jobs, but what's going to put you different from everyone else is if you're out in the community, if you're out meeting people.
How many are familiar with friendship centers?
Jocelyn Formsma is the CEO of the National Association of Friendship Centers. She gave a talk on the important role friendship centers have to play in Indigenous language instruction. Formsma says friendship centers are able to bring language instruction to a large number of Indigenous people in a place that is accessible to them.
There's a diversity of Indigenous peoples within the urban centers, so that even if here in Ottawa, we're in Algonquin territory, we're providing a wide range of Indigenous language programs that might not be just of the local community. So I think that's something unique that friendship centers can provide is regardless of where you are and who you are, that ideally you still have access to your language outside of your home territory.
The WAVE's 2025 Global Indigenous Language Summit was put on by the Office of the Indigenous Languages Commissioner. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Artificial intelligence is offering a new way to learn at home. Some AI models have begun offering translation and the teaching of Indigenous languages. Well, this can be a positive in the efforts to revitalize Indigenous languages. Our reporter Savannah Craig looks at the threat of non-Indigenous companies being at the forefront of this technology.
Google Translate started offering the first Indigenous language in Canada last fall. Inuktitut includes 31 dialects spoken by Inuit in Canada, the United States, Greenland, and Russia. While there is celebration in expanding the presence of Indigenous languages in New Age technology, there can be harms.
They're taking data that really, number one, it's given to them by governments, which I have a problem with, because they really should be consulting the Inuit. They're going to benefit from that. There should be some kind of return for Inuit.
Kurt Etiel says companies in the Silicon Valley are harvesting data to produce Indigenous language AI models.
So there's lots of repositories of Inuit language in museums, in archives, in documents that governments basically make available. It's public domain, right? If it's publicly owned, then big corporations can go and harvest that and be able to use it for anything that they want.
Etiel developed his own Inuktitut AI application called Anyai. It provides instant translations, interpretations, and is available to convert text, audio, and video. The platform only offers translations in South Baffin Inuktitut, with the goal of expanding to offer other Inuktitut dialects.
If we're able to use our app to be able to communicate with our cousins in Greenland, all the way to Alaska and Russia, we have lots of relatives, the language becomes, not a barrier anymore, and that we can actually speak to those dialects as if we're a native speaker.
Michael Runningwolf is the co-founder of the First Languages AI Reality, which aims to revitalize Indigenous languages through AI.
With AI, you can have this opportunity to practice while you're at home, which you would normally require have a speaker in the house or an elder, and this plugs that gap.
Runningwolf says in order to build AI, it needs to be fed data.
We are highly sensitive to any community, withdrawing their consent. We want to be as ethical as possible, and so we don't take public data sets which may have been taken unethically.
To respect data sovereignty and allow Indigenous communities to be at the table, Etiel wants Indigenous language AI models to be Indigenous-led.
At the end of the day, we're encouraging government and policymakers to support us, support small Indigenous companies so that it actually builds equity in our communities.
Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Interesting stuff. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Thursday. Of course, you can find much more by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy McGuitch, thanks for being with us. Stick around, an encore presentation of Face to Face is coming up in about 30 seconds from now. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.